the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. This week, we're going to be taking a look as to what is happening within the Congress party. If you recall, last week they had their AICC session in Ahmedabad. Now, why they chose Ahmedabad and not Bihar? Because Bihar is going to polls very soon, and usually they know these sessions are held in poll-bound states. But apparently, Rahul Gandhi told someone that he says he practices martial arts, and he says in martial arts the idea is to attack the person where he is strongest the most. So he's going for the jugular, as they say, and attacking the BJP really on their home turf, Gujarat. So in that sense, whether it makes sense or not, that Rahul Gandhi has set the bar for the Congress revival from Modi's own home state. He's also given the Congress a narrative. Now, we always say that the Congress doesn't have a narrative except criticizing Modi. Now he's come out with a narrative of empowerment for minorities. He's made the line very clear where he stands. He's not going to do Hindu appeasement. He's going all out to woo the Muslims. Again, why he didn't speak in the Waqf war debate is something we're going to bring up. And he's also talking about the weaker sections. He's very clear that he's going to be raising the plank of Mandal against BJP's Mandal. Ambedkar is someone they're going to be hearing a lot about, whether it's institution or his fight for the crusade for the backward caste and the minority. So these are the issues. Can Rahul Gandhi carry it off? Does he have the credibility? And will he hurt his own allies more than he will hurt the BJP? Because he has Akhilesh Yadav, Tejasvi Yadav. How will they react when Rahul Gandhi starts talking about the backward caste? That's something we're going to be discussing today about the Congress narrative, and can Rahul Gandhi carry it off? Joining me on the show today is DILIP CHERIAN. He's a political commentator and brand guru, and someone I always talk to when it comes to rebranding and with the Congress. There's a lot of that conversation we've had, Dilip. There is JAVED ANSARI. He is someone who's been watching the Congress and politics very carefully and closely for many years. And SUGATA SRINIVASARAJU. He's written a very good book on Rahul Gandhi's strange burdens. And again, someone who has been watching the Congress very closely. SUGATA, let's begin with you. You've been meeting Rahul. You met him, and so has JAVED and everybody. But generally, how do you make out of this latest rebranding of Rahul Gandhi?
I'm pretty confused, Priya, because there's nothing new in what he's trying to do. He's been pretty confused for a very long time. He has been jumping from one issue to another. And I think he has suddenly got obsessed with the past and another word called ideology. See, he doesn't realize that, when I was looking at the CWC resolution, it uses the word ideology. And this word ideology is a very problematic thing, because Congress, if it embraces some kind of dogmatic ideology, then it's going to be further reduced to, a party with small patches of influence. Congress is a party with a grand national appeal and with a certain kind of universal kind of appeal to a lot of people. But I think Rahul Gandhi, what he's trying to do is making it more and more specific. Now, by specific, you already mentioned a few issues like caste, minorities. If he is trying to make secular, liberal way of life, or an approach, convert that into an ideology, then that's a very, very problematic thing. Because secularism, despite the ism in it, is a way of life. It's a very humane philosophy of coexistence. You cannot convert that into an ideology. It is not dialectic materialism like Marxism, or Hindutva itself does not present itself as a kind of ideology, because it's quite scattered and quite broken at places. There's no holy book. If Rahul Gandhi, by touting his red diary, the constitution, copy of the constitution, the mini version, if he thinks he's going to convert the constitution into his holy book, then it's a contradiction of the biggest order. So the constitution, you should remember, is a living document. It's a document which cannot be described as a holy book. So there are a lot of problems, and the biggest of Congress's problem is its past. Congress is unable to sort of break away from its past, and that's one of its burdens. And he's not able to renegotiate or negotiate with the past, principally because, see, you could have shaken off your past. The Congress has come a long way from Indira Gandhi's time or Rajiv Gandhi's time. You could have shaken it away if there was no dynastic control. And dynastic control makes it very difficult to shake away its past. In fact, I'll end the opening comments by referring to a comment that Modi made on the RSS recently when he visited Nagpur. He called RSS a banyan tree. I don't know if it was a tongue-in-cheek comment because, I mean, nothing
Nothing
grows on the
grows.
banyan tree, and Congress has become a banyan tree. So the dynastic aspect of it, the emphasis on ideology, the absence of a certain kind of pan-Indian, universal, national appeal, all these things are problematic, and I don't know how Rahul Gandhi is trying to resolve these things. And by just going to Gujarat and doing an AICC session there, I don't think basically matters. I mean, I'll come to the other aspects of Gujarat. Basically trying to rework on Patel and Morarji and all that a little later. But I think there is a bit of an issue there.
Javed, are you as what not pessimistic but as skeptical of Rahul Gandhi and this whole because there is as even Sugata said, Hindutva is being used as an ideology by one side, so why not cast or his version of secularism on the other side by Rahul Gandhi?
Look, by training, I'm skeptical, but I don't. I'm sorry, but I don't share Sugata's objections to holding it to Rahul Gandhi's search for an idea or for Rahul Gandhi's attempts to fashion an idea or to try and refocus the Congress party. But everybody will agree, even his critics, that the Congress party needs to reboot. Now, whether going back to Mandal is what the doctor ordered for the Congress party, there can be more than a dozen views on that. I certainly don't think so. Mr. VP Singh sacrificed his prime ministership way back in 1990. VP Singh played this Mandal card, and after a while, it just came a cropper. Look, this OBCs are no longer a consolidated vote bank. The Yadavs are on one side, the Koiris on one side, the Patels on one side, the Nishads on the other side, and a lot of the other backwards, the intermediate castes, have gone with the BJP. Barring Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, even the Yadavs in neighboring Haryana and in Rajasthan vote for the BJP. So there is a lot to think about as far as the Congress party is concerned. Yeah. I don't grudge him his attempt to refashion the Congress party. I don't grudge him his attempt to try and restructure the Congress party. They ought to have done this 20 years ago. I'm reminded of what his late father, former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, said at the centenary session in Mumbai. Mrs. Sonia Gandhi has been saying it. Narasimha Rao said it. The need to try and restructure the Congress party. What they need to focus on above all is putting in place an organization. What they are up against is perhaps the most streamlined, well-oiled, ruthless electoral machinery in the form of the BJP. The Congress, or in fact, for that matter, none of the political parties can match up to that. So for the Congress to have even a remote of, to stand the remotest of chance, they need to focus more than anything else on putting in place an organization. Rahul Gandhi generated a fair amount of momentum with his Bharat Jodo Yatra. But beyond a point, they couldn't translate this into great political gains because they lacked an organization. You need people on the ground. You need boots on the ground. You need booth committees, district committees. You need Zilla committees, and a lot of those they're absent. It's one thing to say that when you're in government, it's much easier. Well, the Congress was from 2004 to 2014. They were in power. What prevent? The big question I ask of all my Congress of people I know in the Congress is what prevented you from putting in place a robust organization? Nobody seems to have an answer.
Okay, now, organization, yes, but also, Dilip, to motivate the organization, you need either, a very popular, charismatic leader like Prime Minister Modi, or then some narrative. How do you motivate the organization apart from the groundwork?
Good question, Priya. To start with, if one saw the pictures of the aircraft uh, as it was going towards Ahmedabad with the Congress people, the problem that immediately strikes one is that who are the people who have strong brands, and does the party have a strong brand? And Sugata used the word ideology. Javed gave them a lot of a longer rope. But ideology is neither built in a day nor cast in stone. When you're a brand that is fighting back, a brutalist and electorally powerful machine like the BJP, you need to attempt multiple, shall we say, experiments to see which brand fits you and what works for you as brand Congress. Borrowing a book is not going to take you too far. Booth committees will take you much further. So the book versus the booth committee, I would say booth committees would win hands down. But in terms of attempting to make a change, everybody recognizes that the Congress has attempted to make multiple changes in the last 10 years. Nothing works. So there is the whole issue of, is it to do with dynastic rule? Is it to do with the quality of leadership? Or is it to do with the brand having enough confidence in itself to actually say, this is what we stand for and this is what we're going to go to battle with? But it needs to be based on, and all good branding is based on market research. Do they have feet on the ground to tell them that this is what will work in Karnataka, this is what will work in Uttar Pradesh? And the danger with one brand across the country is that the Congress has never been that. The Congress needs to recognize that in its amorphous nature is its strength. It needs to be many things to many people, because being one thing to many people that position has already been taken. That position is not available. Being the one unifying force to the larger majority is already a position that has been taken. Therefore, you need to work out alliances of convenience, and you need to work out partners, and you need to work out an immediate short-term strategy first before having grand visions. Grand visions is not going to win you the seats you need to be grandly relevant.
So that is the thing, ideology, whatever, however you dismiss it or whatever, I still hold it pretty important, because that is what is really keeping the BJP engine going, and a great credible face to sell that line of thought. Rahul Gandhi lacks consistency. Even if you take on his, now suddenly he stopped playing his Janev and the Hindutva card, he's saying Muslim, then why doesn't he speak on the Waqf Board bill? How consistent do you find Rahul Gandhi post, in his new avatar?
Priya, I've sort of traced his kind of thought process in my book, quite meticulously, how it has shifted every 2 years. And he seems to be lots more consistent in the last 3 years, I would say, because he's been speaking consistently on caste as an issue, for instance. And then there is a certain kind of, embrace of the poor, trying to go and meet them. And I mean, the physical hugs as well as the metaphorical idea of trying to be the Aam Aadmi's man. But, those things are a little difficult to work, because, see, he's quote unquote a royal pedigree, but Modi comes from a very, very ordinary kind of background. So he walks with an imperial gait. Modi walks like a king, but Rahul Gandhi tries to walk around like a poor man's thing. And there is a contradiction in that, when Dilip ji would be able to explain that better as a person. And I also like what he said, because there is this, you can't be too national or too universal, then you will be less rooted, and you can't be too rooted because you will be less universal. So there is that balance, that thin balance that the Congress party has to sort of arrive at. And it is that balance they're unable to arrive at. And you said ideology is still important. I don't disagree with you. But what I'm trying to say is, the moment you use the word ideology, it's a very, very heavy term. it has a great deal of implication. So it weighs you down more than liberates you. So I am trying to tell you that do what you want to do, but don't try to put it in a kind of box and a dogmatic framework which is not going to make you nimble-footed. See, BJP, as much as it uses its ideological Hindutva card, even day before yesterday, Modi ji has used a very unpalatable kind of reference towards the minority community. So he's constantly signaling his base. But at the same time, there is the economic agenda, there is the Vishwa Guru kind of appeal. There are a lot of other things that are happening. So, as Dilip ji very rightly said, that space is taken where one thing unifying is taken. But there is another problem for the Congress. All liberal parties across the globe, in Europe or America, are struggling. So it's not specific to India alone or Asia alone or America alone, where Trump is renamed. But the problem with the Congress, which Dilip ji very rightly pointed out, should be local strategies. But there is another issue there. Rahul Gandhi is not faithful to his partners. I've been talking to a lot of people in the DMK. I've been talking to people in the JDU, for instance. Okay, if the moment you speak caste and you speak a Mandal ideology, they become insecure because that's the only thing that they have. Their entire party is built on caste identities. And if Rahul Gandhi tries to usurp, say, Akhilesh Yadav's caste signaling, what is Akhilesh Yadav going to do? Is he going to partner with you to just sink you? Or is he going to sort of not give you space at all? So you have to be very, very clear when you partner with these regional parties. Now, for instance, JDS in Karnataka, they moved out of the UPA or an alliance with the Congress. But will they ever be willing to sort of compromise their Vokaliga base? I come from that place. If you try a partnership there, or will Lalu Prasad's party compromise on its Yadav and Muslim base? And look at the Dalit issue itself. Is Mayawati, she's throwing out her nephew, bringing him back. There are all kinds of things happening there. There is Chandrasekhar Azad. Do you think that the Dalits are going to embrace the Congress party? No. There, Kharge may be a Dalit, but he's more an establishment Dalit who is who may put the Congress in a crisis situation very soon, because his land scams and other things will start coming up. After the National Herald thing, I now see that they'll also make him a kind of problem rather than a solution for the Congress party. So there are a lot of these issues even with the partners. So how is Congress going to navigate all of that? And Rahul Gandhi is taking it in one single direction, trying to go into something and get himself locked up in that kind of a room. In fact, I did a thought experiment in 2019. In 2019, Priya, it's a very interesting thought experiment. So in a park where I walk in the morning, I used to ask different sets of, Dilip ji may like this because he spoke about market research. I used to ask different set of walkers, what do you think that the Congress party stands for? And what do you think that the BJP stands for? The moment you asked, what does the Congress party stand for, people would go blank. The moment you ask, what does the BJP stand for, they'll give you 10 issues, from 370 to Uniform Civil Code to Kashmir to Pandit issue, all kinds of things. Ram Temple was still not built then. But the Congress party, they will associate only with money, muzzle, and power. And I think that is a huge branding issue which someone like Dilip ji has to solve for the Congress party.
Which perhaps, to be fair to Rahul, he's trying to solve for the Congress by at least giving them talking points.
But he is the problem. He himself is a problem. He himself, he's not a solution. He's a problem.
Okay, I'm going to ask Javed to reply to that, and to reply to how the allies see Rahul's flirtation with caste and Mandal politics, because Javed is some person who's also been, well versed with the allies on this issue. But after a very quick break. Hello and welcome back to the roundtable. We're taking a look at the Congress narrative post the AICC session and Rahul Gandhi's attempts to align it with the Mandal forces. But then will there be a backlash from the allies? Sugata mentioned DMK. I know Akhilesh Yadav is also not happy. Tejasvi could not be too happy. Also, how is Rahul going to mesh with the allies on this point?
So look, this is an area where these contradictions have to be managed. This would certainly bring him into conflict. I detect a certain amount of unease in the RJD, in the Samajwadi Party, because they believe that this is their core area, which the Congress is now trying to encroach upon. So they're not very happy about it. So Rahul Gandhi will have to manage those, the Congress Party will have to manage those contradictions. As far as this business, and I also agree with what Sugata said, that you can't just buttonhole yourself into one box. You need to be able to appeal to a larger. What was the Congress Party? What the Congress Party needs today is courage, conviction, and consistency.
Yes.
They need to be consistent. They should not depart from their core ideology. I differ from Sugato. They should not depart from this. And he gave this example of walking in the park and people associating muscle, money, and corruption with the Congress Party. I don't know.
Power, not
sorry.
Power, not corruption. Power.
Power.
So the party that chases power.
Yeah. And BJP, of course, is only in politics for altruistic purposes. They are doing it for bhakti. Those gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen who you walk with, perhaps wear stainless steel blinkers, because they don't see the muscle men in the BJP. They don't see all the crooks who've now joined the BJP and have been whitewashed. They are obviously
part of the marketing and the branding, as he said, Dilip.
No, marketing, branding, all that is fine. But you cannot. And if you want to then, if you want to adopt this soft Hindutva brand, then why? People who follow Modi will go for the original. Why will they go for the diluted version? They will go for the original. The Congress Party has to be consistent. Yes, reach out to this young success, the new voter. Reach out to the youngsters. Have an economic model which cuts across caste and religious barriers, which appeals to this huge amount of economic discontent. In this country, there's joblessness, there's price rise, and the easiest thing in the world, and the BJP is adept at it, very good at it, is to pat yourself on the back of Vishwaguru. What is this Vishwaguru business, boss? Crores of families have to be fed free rations, and you're an economic superpower.
But yet, the JAVED, what wins elections is emotion and not economic plans, unfortunately.
Priya, you allowed everybody uninterrupted. Please, you may not like what I'm saying.
Will you sit back? Will you sit back? Your head is getting cut.
You may not like what I'm saying, but please listen to me. Do me the courtesy.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just asking you that emotion is the one that wins elections, which is why Rahul is probably doing the same thing.
Yeah, so emotions wins elections, that's fine. I was on this question of Vishwaguru and people thinking that we've become a universal economic powerhouse. Baba, we are feeding crores and crores of families free rations. There's joblessness on the street. I'll show you an RWA. My RWA has sent out a circular. Please don't wear expensive things and you use phones while you're walking, because there's, people are snatching it. And why is all this happening?
All this is, I'm not saying we are living in a great world, but why is the Congress not taking advantage of this?
Yes, so that is
people still not voting for the Congress and voting for the BJP that has created all this unrest.
Yeah, because there's a lot of issues. There are a lot of issues. Hindutva, freebies, the largest, this question of money transfer.
Okay.
Pliant media building up a narrative, and a compromised election commission. Lots of things. You are not just fighting a political party, you're fighting an entire system. To take on the might of the Indian state is not very easy. Congress party needs to do 101 things. And for one, there is no political party in the country which alone can defeat the BJP. Alliances are the only way forward.
Okay, so Dilip, alliances are the only way forward, and there will be some way. I'm sure there will be no joke, but some way the anti-BJPism hopefully will prevail more than the others. But is the Congress, why doesn't the Congress raise the economic issues? Is it because it doesn't connect with the voters? Is what I feel. People are still going in for the easy, threads of religion and caste rather than the real issues.
You know, um, when a brand is under as much threat as the Congress is, you need to take very hard decisions. And I think the hardest decision for someone as disciplined and as schooled in martial arts as Rahul Gandhi is, the difficulty is in being soft everywhere. So you got to have a bit of soft capitalism, you got to have a bit of soft Hindutva, you got to have a bit of soft casteism. And I think that you need to have, most importantly, a highly accommodating attitude towards multiple partners. You cannot be so anxious. I know that there is reason for Rahul to be anxious about what happens to my cadres. Are they getting eaten up? My guess is that whatever had to be eaten has been eaten. There is not much left to be eaten. So what you need to do is don't worry about the cadre. Try and build up the grassroots army you need to build for electoral purposes, not an ideology cadre. You need a cadre that is an operational cadre that can possibly help to market your brand on election day. Don't give them so much theory. What Shugato said is very beguiling, that you've got to stand for something. I think that at the moment, the Congress must recognize that it needs to not stand for certain things. If it can do that, see, the big banyan tree of the RSS stroke BJP exists and it dominates the landscape. So you've got to be a bit like a skirmish army and do your your sniper attacks to be able to snatch victory adequate enough to be then entitled to have a statement about ideology. This is not the time for it. I think when you're doing branding wars, you need to occupy some markets, encourage those markets, grow those markets, and look for other soft markets where you can penetrate. That is the only answer. And in some senses, that is the art of war.
Okay, last quick this thing, Shugato. So consistency is what the Javed said. I totally agree with him, and that is still my problem with Rahul Gandhi. If he's he decided not to play soft Hindutva and go to temples. At least speak on the Waqf board bill. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the inconsistency thing that we've been speaking about. See, if you're so much worried about the oppressed, depressed, and also the minorities in this country, then you should have stood up and said what you had to say. That's one thing. See, Javed, I don't disagree with Javed at all. I completely agree with his proposition. One has to one has to have that courage and conviction and all that. But what happens is that there's another point that I will borrow from what Dilip ji said, that you have to stand for something. So Arun Shauri at one point of time said BJP is Congress minus the cow, or Congress is BJP. That BJP does everything that the Congress does. There is muscle, there is money, there is corruption, plus there is a cow. Cow is a metaphor for cultural reasoning. So Congress party has become a party, one may not like to hear this thing, but a party of elites. When I say elites, I don't mean the elites in the regular sense. What I mean is a party which is deracinated, a party that does not have a cultural face to itself. It only has an economic face. Until recently, all that they were doing was being very, very active on the economic front. There was Manmohan Singh, who was a very, very grand person of the Congress, who used to speak so eloquently on this. There is an Abhishek Manu Singhvi. Every time he stands up to speak, I think there is a small chunk of Congress voters who go away because there's so much of reason. That's something that you pointed out. there is so much reason that there is no space for emotion. And emotion is not that individual personal emotion. Emotion that just gets generated through culture. Rahul Gandhi just knows this much. He says India is a very culturally diverse country. Beyond that statement, you don't know how to exploit that diversity. To be fair to him, I did discuss, I mentioned this in my book, in 2018 and 17, when I spoke to him at length, I did speak about how subaltern cultures could be looked at. If the BJP is a party of Rama and Krishna, there was still that then. Now they have actually come and appropriated even the subaltern cultures. There is no space left there also. But it was still open. When Rahul Gandhi was trying to wear a Janeyu, I said that this is a mistake. See, there are subaltern cultures. They are utilitarian. They are functional gods in every village. You should be part of every jatra and fair. So that's something that could have been appropriated when the BJP was playing a certain Brahminical high Hinduism, but they lost that opportunity, and now they try to sort of pick here and pick there. So that is the thing that I'm talking about. I completely agree with Javed when he says that consistency and commitment is required. But how does one achieve that? With what are those ingredients? I think that is something that really concerns me.
Okay, I would have got you, and we're totally out of time. But on the note that you agree with Javed, I think is a good note to end the show on.
There's no way I can't agree with what he says. It's a very sensible thing. What he's been saying. Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for this conversation. And I'm sure we'll have many more in the future as the Congress struggles and tries and finds a credible, consistent narrative and a base. But on that note, thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.